What is going on, everyone? Chris with Journals, Comics, and Pop Culture. It is Friday. This is Friday Night Live, and we have a lot to talk about. I usually say as always, but tonight we really do have a lot to talk about, and I really, I really want to make sure that I come at this tonight with the right energy. All right, that's going to be very important. I don't want to spend too much time before we get into the actual topic of discussion, but we do have to let more folks get in here. I do have some excuse me. My phone is there's a ghost. I do have some quick little reminders and channel updates that I do need to get to. Want to say what's going on to all the early birds here. Circumstances, I saw your comment. Yeah, I mean, really, yes. GT Key Comics, what's going on? Dan's here. What's up, Dan? X11. Funhouse Comics, what's up? Beyond Wednesdays, what's going on? Guys, if you're not subbed up to Beyond Wednesdays, go do it. We got Peter's here. What's up, Peter? Shadow Rat, what's going on, Shadow Rat? Haven't seen you in a little bit. Sean's here. What's going on, Sean? Travis Tubbs. Matt's hanging out. Two Matts, Matt Labno and Matt Stash. What is up? Green Machine. The Cape Master. All right, a lot of beautiful folks. Yes. P Keel. What's going on? Bagging and boarding. I love it. I love it, guys. All right, so again, we have a lot of serious things to talk about tonight, but a few things out of the way. Can you believe it's like fall of 2022 already? But October's almost up. Halloween on Monday means it's the end of the month, and I got some giveaways to remind you all of real quickly here. So again, for my Patreon members, end of October, so next week I will be announcing the winner to this little awesome book set. We got Eternals #1, the Arthur Adams variant. Love this cover with the white border, just beautiful. We got Dark Ages #1, and then we got West Coast Avengers #62, first full appearance of the Time Keepers. So some lucky Patreon member will receive those. And then, of course, to my YouTube channel members, somebody will win this awesome Walmart unopened 3-pack. And it has Thor #1 here. This is a variant. And then 2 other mystery books. It's in a bag and board, but the original 3-pack is not open. All right. And then, of course, I got my year-end Patreon only giveaway that I will be running probably after the new year, that first week of January. We got Venom #29, this amazing, beautiful variant cover by Scorpion Comics, Gabriel Delato. This is a Origin of Codex. I just love looking at this book every time I show it. So those were my quick reminders about the giveaways that are coming up on the channel. Let's see what else. We have a very special comic book canon this Sunday, Halloween edition, Comic Journey. What's going on? 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, folks. It's going to be a special Halloween edition, especially because our FFTCS this week, which is usually fresh from the comic shop, where you all get to submit your fresh comic pickups of the week. This week, because we're taking a week off from fresh from the comic shop, it is fresh from the costume shop. So anybody that wants to dress up in their Halloween costumes, you still have a few days to submit entries. Dress up your kids, family, husband, wife combo, your dogs and cats, your pets, anything relating to dressing up in costumes, getting to that Halloween spirit. As long as you post it over the next couple of days, guys, we will grab it. Make sure you hashtag FFTCS. Make sure you tag Comic Book Canon on Instagram. Post the picture of you guys in your costumes. Tell a little story about it. And we're going to have fun doing Fresh from the Comic Shop, an awesome special segment on this Sunday's Comic Book Canon show. Okay, so there is that. I do have one other announcement that I want to get into before we get into the big important matter at hand that we're going to discuss tonight. Chris, also, what's going on? Yeah, the changing of the leaves. All right, so I've been a little bit vocal about my issues with Whatnot lately and all their glitches. That's why I haven't done a sale in almost a month, which hurts, but I'm not objectifying myself to be put in these situations anymore. I've been trying to work with them. I've been talking with some of the higher ups to try to figure out what's been going on. Nobody can give me an answer. I went ahead and scheduled another show, and I almost canceled it, but I'm going to do it. So 1 week from tonight on Whatnot, I will be doing a show. It's going to be a Batman / Superman mashup. So it's going to be mostly on almost all Batman books or Spider-Man books. I got some books right here from Silver Age, Detective Comics to, more Silver Age, Batman, Detective Comics. From Silver Age all the way up to modern, a lot of bronze and copper stuff. So got some keys. First full appearance of Killer Croc. And then a lot of Spider-Man stuff still too to sell off. So, and I'm attempting to do my format as I usually do on Whatnot, where I add in a little more every day. There's not too much there right now in the sale, but there is some. You guys can go. You can purchase it, buy it now before Friday. Once we go live, I put everything up for auction, one lot or one book at a time, right? So again, I do believe it's at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. 1 week from today, that's November 4th on Whatnot. If all goes well, if there are no issues that have been happening for the last, 3.5 months for me, I want to be able to keep, doing my sales on Whatnot. If the issues still remain, it could very well be my last sale that I do on Whatnot, at least until I know that they fix their issues, because I put a lot of work. I take pictures for every listing. I grade every book. I list the grade and the description. I price it all out. I do all of my due diligence to make sure that I'm selling product that all of you that are looking to purchase can be happy with. And I also do it in a way to where once we go live on the show, it's a smooth process, and that hasn't been happening. I'm telling you, it's been like over 3 months now that these issues have not been resolved. So try to show up if you want to hang out Friday night. My link is below to Whatnot. If you haven't signed up and you use that link, you will get $10 off your first purchase from anywhere on the app. And look, I'm not here knocking Whatnot, guys. I've had decent success selling on the app, and I'm fair, I'm honest, I'm transparent. And when you do that, the app can be an awesome place for sellers and buyers. But my issue is not like the other types of rhetoric, the anti-Whatnot rhetoric that's going on. My issue is simply that I can't run my business on the app like I want to, like I need to, because of all these glitches and everything that's going on. But like I said, I'll be there. I'll be there Friday. Fingers crossed it's a good sale. I will be listing more buy it now books every day over the next week. All right. So let's say hello to some more folks that popped in, and then we'll get into the topic of discussion. We won't waste any more time. Reef the Sea Forever. What's going on? Who else we got? What are the issues? I've been having issues too, man. So alphabetization went out the window. That's one thing. Entering pictures has been another issue, but those are more minor issues. The biggest issue that I've been having is that I'll be brief with this, but what I usually do, I will list all my books out before the sale goes live as buy it nows. That means I sticker my books. I look at eBay sold. I look at my comic shop. I make sure that I can guarantee that my sticker prices, my buy it now prices will be lower than all of those sources in any major online retailer like My Comic Shop or Midtown, etc. So I have that availability. I list everything as a buy it now. And then when I go live, I could pick one at a time and auction it off. Well, I'm not able to auction it off. And not only have I not been able to auction it off, but they won't allow me to switch it from a buy it now to an auction item and then auction it off. So what I've been having to do is delete the item, relist, and this is all live. When I'm live in the sale, I gotta, at first I can't find it because alphabetization went away. Then I gotta find it, delete the buy it now item, and then type in and relist it, and then as an auction item, and then put it up for auction. It's a complete turnoff. People drop out. They don't want to sit there and watch you struggle and do that. It's not how it works. So again, like I said, fingers crossed, and let's definitely hope for the best on next Friday. All right. Comic Journeys here. The Cape Masters here. What's going on? Nut Tech. I bought for you and whatnot and appreciate that you give the books a grade. I'll be there Friday. Thank you so much. That's right. Yeah. I remember the handle. Thank you for your previous support. Viper, what's going on? Ending out of nowhere. That's not good either. Yeah, man. Ugh. All right, folks. Let's we got some folks in here tonight. Man, we got some stuff to talk about, guys. I want you all to have patience with me tonight, and I want you to bear with me. I'm going to try to express myself the best that I can. Spider, do what's going on. And I'm going to try to do it in a way that allows you all to, understand my heart in all this. And I want you guys to be honest with me during this conversation. All right. There's a conversation ahead that will get nowhere unless we are all, first off, honest with ourselves and then honest with each other. All right. Let me start off by saying, Ghost Junk, what's going on? We know what's been going on this year in the comic book industry. And I've said this before, and I don't want to do too much rehashing, but we have to get the foundation built tonight. These last few years have been crazy. Crazy for us in the comic community, crazy for human beings. We've experienced, no matter your feelings on COVID or the pandemic or the rules and all the things, the lockdowns, don't matter. We all suffered from it. We all were having to lock down in some form or fashion. We reached out in different ways to people to build connections, and there was a lot of positives and negatives among all that. And it's impacted the comic book world on so many levels, whether it's the money that came into the hobby, whether it's the dynamic of how we buy and sell, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like it or not, COVID changed things. We've also known that the political climate of this country and the world has changed a lot. I'm going to say due to the evolution of social media. You can blame Obama, you can blame Trump, you could point fingers, you can say Republican, Democrat, you could point fingers at people, but the bottom line is it's social media that has changed the political landscape, and it's changed how we communicate with each other, and at our detriment. All of us, we find comfort, whether we're conscious of it or not, sitting behind screens. We have eliminated the ability to hear the intent and the emotion behind the words that we speak. And due to this, our perception of intent has eroded to a superficial fallacy or ideal that we've cognitively perpetuated on our own without even knowing the intent of the other individual on the other side of the screen. And due to this, we've allowed our conversations to not be conversations. We are eager to read into confrontation. We are eager to defend ourselves. We are eager to become victimized. And I'm not saying anybody's wrong for doing this. I'm just trying to state the facts. We have become hyper vigilant and reactionary. Doesn't matter what you believe in, who you vote for, who you pray to, what comic books you read, who you love, who you don't love. This is the human experience as a whole when dealing with social media. We also have an influx of individuals being able to have an outlet of being in front of a camera, where there are those that only have the outlet of a typed word in a chat box or a comment section. And then there are those of us that are privileged. I will say I am privileged to have this outlet of actually being in front of a camera and not just a chat box and a thumbnail icon, right? Morpheus, what's going on? Dink Castle, what's up? Connected Comics. So, again, at the base level of all of this is understanding that this is an evolution, or shall I say a devolution. It is a change in the reality that we perpetuate for ourselves, whether good or bad. Because I'll tell you, from this, I've seen good and bad. I've seen things that are to our progress and seen things that are to our detriment from good people. It's not about black and white or simply right or wrong. It's about the human experience. And how do we move the needle forward? Well, we start having conversations and we own up to our own shortcomings. We own up to how we can learn and grow. How do we use these platforms in this evolution of technology and social media for the better, instead of allowing us to fall victim to our shortcomings, to where we get trapped in this cycle of reactionary behavior, where we get trapped in this cycle of defensiveness and victimization, where we get trapped in our own detriment of creating a reality and a perception of reality that now, when we go outside, when we turn the screens off and we put the phones down and we go out into the world, we take that mentality with us. And that's what I'm going to address tonight. And that's what it scares me. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It scares me. And to say it scares me, I'm not sounding weak or soft or anything like that. I'm just being real. It scares me to see the foreshadowing of what our reality can become from this. And I got to give a shout out to Simon. Thank you, Simon, for the super chat. Thank you, Chris, for shining light on these dark matters, my friend. The truth is out there. Thank you, Simon, so much for all your continued support and just being an amazing human being, man. Thank you. Nicholas, what's going on, Nicholas? Gutter Snipe, what's going on? At least it still matches. Who said that? Gutter? Decently matched, but hey. It's Star Wars. It's Star Wars. And it was a gift from an awesome friend of the channel. But let's get back to the conversation, guys. Matt. Boy, you're at 7. What's going on, man? So many Matts in the house tonight. So, I'm going to circle back to how everything that I just said, I think is really coming out in the comic book community on social media. We see it with especially since the C2E2, since Whatnot, since New York Comic Con and the Peach Momoko incident. And again, I'm not invalidating anyone. I always say this. It's like when you look at a protest that turns violent, or maybe they start breaking windows, I'm not going to sit and say, look at those hoodlums for breaking windows and being violent. No, I'm going to say, damn, what has made them so angry? And maybe the reason, although we know the action itself is counterproductive, yeah, especially if it's in your own community. Like if you look at the LA riots in the early 90s, don't sit and tell me that going down, going to Watts and burning your own community down, literally, they burnt it down, is going to be productive for your community in any way. Well, maybe the action right there in that moment was a detriment, but why they were angry was valid. Why they were angry was valid, and maybe they just didn't know how to manage that anger in a productive sense. Maybe sometimes we feel like we don't know how. Maybe, going back to what I had just said, we get so wrapped up in the conditionings of what I do call the devolution of social media. But over the last year or so, we've been opening up as a world, and we've been going back into the world. We spent 2 years diving into this evolved technology to a new degree of social media and interactions, and losing the ability to communicate, no matter what we're talking about: politics, religion, music, comic books. And now we go back into the world. Now we have cons again. And everything that we learned or unlearned interacting on social media starts coming out in the real world. And that's a problem. Eric, you haven't missed it yet. I'm getting to it. Marvel Man, what's going on? Thanks for popping in. P Kill, I'm gonna please don't. I love you, P Kill. You know that, man. But this is I'm P Kill. I hope you can stick around. I hope you're here to listen tonight, and you don't have other engagements to go attend to. I want you to listen in totality to what I have to say, and then I want you to come back to your comment right here. And I say this because I got love for you so much, P Kill. You know that, to you and your family. I feel that what you're saying right here, no matter your sentiment or intent, I know you have good intent, but these are the types of statements that continue to divide and conquer. Because it's black or white, and we have to choose a side. But I'm telling you, we don't. We don't have to choose a side. It ain't black and white. So I plead to you, and I ask you with everything in me, to at least just keep it in your pocket for right now. Hear me out and see if we can come back and reflect on that in 45 minutes or an hour, okay? So we've lost how to communicate on social media. We become defensive. We become reactionary. And now we go back into the real world, and this behavior follows us. And now we feel that we need to react in ways that or that validate us to put hands on people. Oh, look, it's us versus them. How dare they? I could put hands on you. because I've been validated by everything that I've been doing and seeing on social media. So let's go to the title, Inciting Violence. I thought about this a million ways for the last week on how I was going to address this. And I still don't even know if this is the right way to do this. But there are individuals that are absolutely inciting violence, or at least I feel that they are, no matter their intent. I'm not here to put anyone on blast tonight. Now, you guys may be like, well, you need to let us know who it is so we can. If you guys are participating in this community and you see it, it's going to be you to be responsible to not assimilate to that type of behavior. There's been a lot of mockery in social media in the comic book community. We know that, and it's very immature and childish. Like the whole, people calling certain people clowns and creating memes and using emojis and all this. They've done it to me. That's petty. It's childish. It's counterproductive. It's ridiculous, and it does nothing, right? But I wouldn't say just doing that is inciting violence, right? It's social media, or it's just jokes, But where do we cross the line, right? Where is that line crossed? And I do believe that recently there's been a specific line crossed when there was images made and shared on social media by social media members taking a known figure of this community and literally putting this figure's face in an image of him being the victim of an act of violence. I wanted to share the images, but in respect to everyone involved, I'm not going to do that tonight, because this individual that shared and perpetuated these images of violence being done towards a real community member. And look, it's one thing. Look, we glorify violence all the time. It's in our music, it's in our movies. And again, not saying that's right. It's not about being right or wrong. But when we do it to somebody, to a real human being that cannot defend themselves for a multitude of reasons, do we cross the line? And I'm asking you all, if you guys were watching a YouTube channel or were on social media and somebody took a image of me being, hurt in a way that could kill me, or being killed or something like that, whether or not you like me or not, is that okay? Now, look, when we go to the issues that are plaguing this community right now, when it comes to these buzzwords, influencer, whatnotter, YouTuber, flippers, and I get it. Look, I get it. I get it. I understand the anger, the frustration. I understand. But do we draw a line when we depict violence against a certain individual simply because we disagree with what they might say or do, and how they sell comics or talk about comics? Country Club Comics, thank you for your opinion on this. And I do have, I'm going to bring stuff up. I'm going to bring stuff up that addresses this issue. Yo, Don, what's going on, Don, man? Thank you for being here and for popping in. Incitement is not an objective standard. Sounds like speech censorship to me. Holy Harlot, I would like you to elaborate on what you're saying. I am assuming I'm knowing what you're saying, but please elaborate, Holy Harlot. What do you? I want to hear more context to what you're trying to say. That's the state of our country, and it's seeped into the state of our comic community heartbreak. And I agree 100%, Matt. I agree 100%. I'm going to bring something in here real quick. I'm going to bring something in here. Holy Harlot, I do want to hear from you. I want you to add context. Okay, no, sorry, I didn't mean to. I wasn't laughing at you. You just sparked a thought in my brain, and I kind of like kind of an irony thing. All I'm saying is that we should err on the side of not censoring speech. I agree. I agree. That's why, look, am I putting this individual on blast? Am I saying, how dare they? No, I'm not. I want to have a conversation with this individual. I want to have a conversation with all of you. But I'm telling you all, should we at least, if this isn't about censorship, and look, believe me, I understand censorship right now is crossing a line itself. It is. Censorship right now on both sides. We can't have a conversation. We can't. You say, especially in the politics of things, you say something slightly off than the group think of somebody that's a liberal, you're censored. If you say something that's slightly off of the group think of a conservative, you're censored and blackballed. So, Holy Harlot, I wholeheartedly agree with you, but I'm not here censoring anyone. I'm here saying, is this something that we should accept culturally, or should we take heed to it? Because I'm going to present to you where this is going to lead. Because where this is freedom of speech or not, where this is going to lead is going to be at our detriment. I truly believe that from the bottom of my heart. And I have evidence to back that up. And again, I mean, this is my opinion, but I believe foreshadowing is heavy on this matter here. But I'm going to bring something up. The specific image of violence at this point in time is not important. It's not. I gave you context of what it is, and it's not just this one incident. It's not. It's a multitude of incidences. And I'm going to bring up a couple examples on the screen. Shadow Rat, yep. Freedom of speech does still have consequences, right? Cyberbullying is illegal. So again, for those that just came in, there have been multiple. We know that the climate on social media of cyberbullying has been there, and it's the pot's boiling, right? It's all over Instagram. I've talked about it, you guys. That's when the whole C2E2 stuff popped off. I said, stop pointing fingers and just bullying people. Wait for the facts to come out. When the Peach Momoko NYCC thing popped off, I said, pump your brakes, wait for the facts to come out. We could be angry, we could be this, we could be that, but let's not be counterproductive children bullying people. So there's a multitude of things. There is an incident of a specific target, though, where this target, who is a real human being, is having a horrific act of violence being portrayed to them. That is one incident. I got to bring this up. Give me one moment. I'm going to share my screen. All right. One second. All right. I'm going to bring up this first right here. I'm going to bring this up, guys. So this is California penal code, civil code right here, but there is federal law against this. Now, I'm sharing this right now, not to pick on a specific incident, but simply to take heed and to educate everybody. When we're angry, no, we don't want to be censored, right? We want to be able to speak our mind, speak our truth, whatever that may be. And we want to hold people accountable to where we think maybe somebody's doing something wrong. But if you use somebody's likeness, I'm going to read this to you. California Civil Code, section 3344 states that any person who knowingly uses another's name without their consent, name, or likeness for the purpose of selling, advertising, or soliciting shall be liable for any damages sustained by the person or persons injured as a result thereof. I don't need to read anything else. It further goes on to state privacy laws that are federal laws that could be violated. Now, we're not even talking about inciting violence. We're not even talking about inciting violence yet. We're talking about using somebody's name or likeness without their permission. Right? That's it. That's all we're talking about so far. Brian, thank you so much for the super chat. What do you think about Elon Musk's promise to not restrict Twitter? I'm going to come back. Brian, remind me to come back to that. But I got to focus on what I'm talking about right here real quick. Now, we're going to pull this out, and I'm going to bring up something else. And this is more important to those that want to incite violence against a real human being. All right? I'm going to bring this up. All right. I'm going to read a little bit of this with you. The First Amendment does not protect violent or unlawful conduct, even if the person engaging in it intends to express an idea. So, Harlot, this is where freedom of speech does have its limitations, right? And repercussions. Let me repeat that. The First Amendment does not protect violent or unlawful conduct, even if the person engaging in it intends to express an idea. Further stated, the First Amendment does not protect speech that incites imminent violence or lawlessness. Threats of violence, stalking, and harassing people, whether private individuals or public officials, are not protected by the First Amendment and may violate multiple federal and state criminal laws. It is a felony under federal law to communicate a threat to injure or kidnap another person online, by phone or email or mail, or using other interstate channels. Folks, state criminal laws penalize threats to injure or kill another person, as well as stalking, which generally refers to a course of conduct that involves repeated harassment, etc., etc. So Guys, I'm not here to sit and say I don't support freedom of speech. But not everything you say and do and perpetuate, especially online on social media, is legal. Holy harlot, it's not unconstitutional. That's the Constitution. You can't sit and say, I want anarchy. The Constitution doesn't equate to anarchy. I like this statement. All ideas, especially those who oppose or disagree with, should always be protected until they incite violence. So, all I'm saying here, folks, is first off, I'm focusing on the legalities of it. I'm not even talking about like the moral, subjectiveness. We're talking about legally. Wouldn't you want to take heed? If you really have a problem with somebody so much that you need to get on social media and address your problem with an individual or a group of individuals, not only would I take heed because I care about the solution, but I would take heed because of the possible criminal intent. Why would you want to cross that line? I wouldn't. And that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So this is for everyone out there to ponder. Now, it doesn't even have to, but remember, if you use somebody's image or name or likeness, there is defamation as well. And that has nothing to do with inciting violence. That's different. And I think a lot of people don't understand that, especially for people protecting a brand. If you misrepresent that brand, there's a lot of issues there that are legally implied. But we are talking about inciting violence and the possibility thereof. So that's for you all to sit and ponder. Is it worth it? Is it worth it because of the legal aspect of things? Absolutely. Absolutely, boss and Chris. You can say you want anarchy, but if you act on it or lead someone others to anarchist behavior that endangers others, then it's illegal. Yep, there are so many civil liability possibilities with defamation, especially online. Especially online. So I want to, but see, what I want to talk about is I want to put aside the legalities right now. Okay. Not only could it be criminal, could it be civil? Not only could something like this get you in trouble, and again, maybe you feel your actions are just, right? Let's put that aside. Do you really want a solution? And again, this isn't censoring our freedom of speech. It's allowing us to critically think about how we use our speech in the most effective manner. Okay. I disagree with this in this comic book community. I disagree with how certain people use their power in their names, whether because they're YouTubers or influencers, whatever you want to call them, they sell on whatnot. I disagree with how they abuse. I feel like they abuse their power. Okay, so whether you're right or wrong, you're expressing your feelings on a matter. That in and of itself is valid. Now, I'm assuming that since you have these feelings, you want a solution. I would think most people do. I give people the benefit of the doubt that most of us want a solution. So, do we feel that the best solution is inciting violence? Or do we feel that the best solution is having conversations? I'm asking all of you right now. All right, Reef says, I think new collectors need to be protected some way from pump and dump artists. I'm not disagreeing with that, but who are the pump and dump artists? Are you using pump and dump artists as a buzzword to coin, to label anybody that has an X amount of following on YouTube? Or are you using pump and dump artists as a prejudicial box just because they sell on Whatnot? Oh, that person sells on Whatnot, they're a pump and dump artist. Or are you really speaking to the fact that there are shady people out there that want to take advantage of people because of greed or whatever? And if that's the case, then how do we communicate that? Because as I said before, these issues are everywhere in life. Human beings are nasty. It ain't just in comic books, it's everywhere. Why are we labeling people? Yes, thank you, Morpheus. Thank you. Why are we labeling people? I would disagree, Chris. No one is going to agree with inciting violence. You want to know why? Because I sit there and I watch it every day. People incite violence, and what do? You create or you seemingly so create a mob mentality. Whether they, again, and maybe all of these people truly believe their intentions are good, are just. But believe me, people incite violence and people fall right in line. And the same people that are sitting here saying, I'm not down with influencers, maybe they don't understand that they have power too, and they are influencing people every time they're angry. And they incite violence, even if they think their anger is just. So then does that become hypocritical? And does it become worse in which you hate? Or do you become that in which you hate? Yeah, stock market's a whole other conversation. Yeah, thank you, Comic Journey, for saying this. Look, yes, again, and I always say this when we talk about this, I'm not here to victim blame, but people need to protect themselves by not believing what I wouldn't, Comic Journey, you know me, I'm not going to call anybody a moron, or I'm not going to use names like that, but you got to hold yourself accountable, because at the end of the day, Reef, how are we going to protect people? By picking up the same pitchforks? By throwing the same poison? If we think that they're throwing poison at us, throwing poison at them, what are we going to be, Romeo and Juliet? It's not about protecting. We got to build them up and educate. Or am I educating somebody by saying, F you, clown man, F you this, screw you that, death to you, my whole MO on Instagram or on YouTube is death to whatnotters, death to influencers. That's not protecting them. How is that protecting them? Because then when they go to cons and they got that energy, that's right, Journo has over 12,000 subscribers. Man, I love what he keeps it real. He's always about that real spit. And he's like, yeah, screw Whatnot. Whatnot is ruining the hobby. All these flippers are ruining the hobby. All these, exclusives and all this. I'm going to go to this con and I'm going to get mine. And you go to the con And what am I seeing? Oh, I see all the whatnotters. And you know what it gives me? I got that courage juice. And I'm going to go up in there and I'm going to say, screw you, whatnotter. And I put my hands on them because I'm validated. Because now I'm validated because Journo told me that these people are scum, that they're ruining the hobby. And he told me in a way that has pumped me up so much that I hate these people. I hate them. It's not just that I don't like their personality or, yeah, you know, maybe they're a used car salesman, so I'm not going to buy from them and support them. No, I hate them because in some way they are ruining my life. And I'm going to put my hands on them. So remember who said earlier on, I said, I'm going to bring this around. It's not about censoring anybody. But are we not foreshadowing what's going on here? Are we not able to see that? Whether you think your frustration and anger is valid or not, we literally, and you guys could sit here and deny it. Look, yes, we know now that the behavior of vendors and exhibitors at cons has been sneaky deaky, but that ain't nothing new. You don't think when McFarlane was pumping out 3 million copies of Spawn #1s and, you know, Marvel was pumping out foil variants, that all the vendors weren't like, you know, at the con before opening, making their deals and pumping them up when doors open? Not saying it's right, but I'm saying it's nothing new. Be happy that it's coming to light. Things are changing, right? But you can't sit and tell me. The facts are out there, even from the people that it happened to. People stood in line waiting to get into the function at NYCC. And when the doors were open, they shoved and pushed each other. They hopped the little rail thing and they ran and swarmed Peach's booth, yelling at her. And I'm sure they were yelling at her with anti-vendor, anti-whatnot, anti-flipper rhetoric. We know that it was a gen population, and again, not to generalize gen population, but it was somebody who paid for a ticket that had a VIP badge that said, I'm validated to put my hands on this guy because he has an exhibitor badge and I should be in front of him. Hate fuels hate. Anger fuels hanger. Us against them is not going to work. It's not. Reef, again, that's whack. It's ridiculous. I laugh at it. Why are you mad at it? Honestly, if somebody prices a raw comic at a 9.8 grade, why are you mad at it? Did you buy it? Did you buy it at that price? This is nothing new either. Do you know how many LCSs overprice their books? Why are we not saying death to LCSs? Do you know how many LCSs overprice their books? Why do I not hear one of these people on YouTube, on Instagram, making t-shirts, making memes, saying death to LCS owners? I'm sorry. I'm going to take a step back, guys. And this just goes to show that, like, look, we get angry, man. We get angry, including myself. And I get it. I get it. Just because I'm angry doesn't mean I'm mad at you, especially Reef. I know you're just asking a question. You know, but guys, Reef, look, don't be mad at that. Just be educated and educate other people and let them take their losses. If somebody is pricing raw books at 9.8s and people are buying them, that's it. Look, all you can do in your power is to say, hey, learn how to price your books before you buy. And if they still buy them overpriced, that's on them. And is it angering you so much that you want to incite violence on this seller for selling a raw book at I mean, are they raping children? Are they murdering people? But yet we want to incite that type of violence towards them for being cheesy, greasy used car salesmen, if they're even that, if they are even that, because we hinge so much to the echo chamber in the group think, and we jump to conclusions before we have facts so often. Yep, absolutely, Dan. We just don't know how to talk to each other. Period. And big shout out to Morpheus, who always expresses the one key word: empathy. Empathy and being able to listen. In order to speak, we must first listen. Human beings learn to speak, not through speaking. We learn to speak through listening. The ears come first. And that is very important throughout our entire life. Keith, depiction. No, I never see. Okay, first off, you're working in generalizations. Depictions of violence is not incitement of violence. No, it's not. No, it's not. I never said it was. Depicting an act of violence towards a real person, knowing that you got people watching and listening, can absolutely be deemed as inciting violence, 100%. And we can talk law all day long. You can hit me up, you can inbox me, we can talk law. But like I said, I'm going to move on from the legalities. I want to talk about the moral understanding of our actions and why we think it's okay still. It's like, is this what we really want? Is this, and the only way I can answer it without having the answers from certain individuals is maybe they don't want to resolve. Maybe we don't want to resolve. I don't know. Yeah, very true, Marvel Man. A lot of people project, and that's sad. And I'm not mocking anybody for that. But a lot of people project their own problems. But you know what? I blame society for that, especially as men, because men aren't taught to be able to talk about their problems, right? We're taught to hold that shit in. Reef, why are you so? Don't worry about the ASM 300 homages. I mean, Reef, and I say this with compassion, man. Why does it matter to you? Just tune it out. Do you know how much reality TV show is on cable? It's like that's all it is. It's garbage. It does make me want to throw up, but you can't let that anger you. You know what I'm saying? It's not worth your energy. It does nothing to do you if you don't consume it. Yep, absolutely. Dank. I see a lot of arguments in social media where both sides have a point, but for some reason they always have to add something snarky with their point. It never ends. It's like you gotta absolutely, and that's the disconnect in having that eye to eye contact or that voice to voice communication, right? Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, X11. Absolutely. Holy harlot, you're I mean, these are extremes. You're talking about two extremes. I'm literally talking about being responsible for ourselves. I've been saying that over and over again. But that's a two-way street. That's a two-way street. You can't be naive. You can't be naive. I mean, look, holy harlot, I'm gonna challenge you. And you know I do this and I love you, man, but how can we sit here and call people? How can we sit here and pick up pitchforks against influencers, but then but then when we're influence people to incite violence, now it's oh well, people need to be responsible for themselves. Well, what about the people being responsible for themselves, buying from all those whatnotters that you're pointing fingers at, saying they're ruining comic books? You can't be a hypocrite. You can't talk in circles here. There's no double talk here. You can't do that. Come on. I mean, we got to be better than that. How, again, I'm asking you, I'm not telling you, I'm asking you, how can you sit here and say flippers, whatnotters, influencers are ruining the hobby because they influence, yet when somebody that's sitting behind a screen is using somebody's image to incite violence, then it's oh well, you know, you can't, if there's violence, you can't blame the influencer now. That's on them. You feel me? Do you not see that how that's a double standard? Hmm. Yep. X11 didn't who was it? Orson Welles had a comment, I believe. Yeah, very true, Marvel man, very true. God loves comics. Tempest in a teapot. Is there a real issue here? I'm discussing the real issue. And if you missed it, I'm sorry. You want to add to this? What are you missing? Ask the questions in the comments because I'm here to answer. Or make your statement because this is very vague and I believe a bit cynical, but I don't know. That's just how I'm reading it. So please elaborate. That's what I'm here for. That's what you're here for. Let's talk about it. Or if you're really missing the real issue, then ask the questions. Try to pull it out of me if you're missing it. Absolutely, Daniel. Absolutely. It's culturally plaguing us all around. Empire Comments, what's going on? I got some more images that I'm going to bring up on screen here, but I'm trying to get caught up on these comments because, like I said, I mean, this is an open conversation. Absolutely, Reef. There's good and bad sellers on any platform. Brandon Metro, what's going on? Right. Seriously. Seriously. Always bad apples, but most rational people can hear an opinion or statement. You know, I feel personally, and this is my opinion, I feel that we're losing that. I really feel that we are losing that. I know you say most people, and I would normally agree, but I do feel that we are devolving as a people. Even the best of us are falling victim to this type of mentality. Empathy is the most important quality in a person, in my opinion. I wish all politicians had to do a heroic dose of mushrooms. I hear you, man. I hear you. You know, empathy, compassion, even when we're at our most frustrated, our most vulnerable, our most beat up. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree 100%. All right, again, guy, I'm almost caught up in these comments. I'm just kind of rushing through some of this because I got to get to some images that I need to show. Pumping and dumping is not ethical. I mean, that would be, you know what, Holy Harlot, that would be a good show. Is pumping and dumping ethical? Because again, what are we doing? We're using a buzzword, right? Pump and dump. What does that mean? What does it look like? And then let's try to flesh it out so we don't generalize things, right? And then I think we can really explore conversation and not just be reactionary to buzzwords, if that makes sense. Well, here's something that's really interesting to this point, Holy Harlot. I don't think influencers really influence a lot of people. People might get fooled by experts, though. So everything that we do on, like, people that have YouTube channels or that have followings on IG, it's a microcosm. We are like honing in on a microcosm of a bigger macro issue with anything we do, whether we're talking about something positive, whether we're talking about something negative. And it's that relationship and that perception of the relationship between us and our viewers. Because we got to understand that we live in a society that echo chambers, whether we like it or not. We're hell bent on groupthink right now. And whether I mean to or not, people will watch my channel, and sometimes they will hear what I say and they will find themselves regurgitating it. It's almost human nature to do this, and that's okay. That's why I keep challenging everyone to think for themselves, though. But when we start pushing certain rhetoric, especially when it becomes angry or violent or confrontational, and look, I talk about a lot of controversial, confrontational things. I do. But when we do this, it's even more necessary to do so with caution and in a way that not only allows my audience to critically think, but allows me to critically think myself and to engage in a two-way conversation. Because I think too often than not, when we get in front of a camera and we say we even have 50 or 100 or 200 people in our chat, that's a lot of people in a chat at once. It is. But it's such a small dose of a larger mentality. So if we're angry about something and we're on YouTube yelling about it, ranting about it, and we got 50 or 100 people riding with us, oh yeah, man, that's right, that's right, get them, you keep it so real, journo, then that validates me. And then me bringing your comments on the screen saying, that's right, journo, keep it real, I validate you. And then we validate each other. And I go to sleep and I'm like, man, that's right. I serve my purpose. They listen to me. That's right. They were feeling me. So my intentions are validated. And then they're going to bed like, oh man, Journo, man, like he highlighted my comment. I get down with him. He validated me. But what we're really doing is validating our biases They were already there. Because guess what? In that same stream, more often than not, if there's somebody that already, before I even open my mouth, if they already disagree with what I'm about to say, as soon as I say it, they're gone. Or they're like, screw you, journo, unsub. And then what do? They go hop into the next stream, go to the next channel until they hear somebody validating their preconceived biases. Now, again, I'm not trying to say this to crucify anyone. It's our humanity that is not often perfect that allows us to fall into these ways of being. I've done it myself. So I'm saying this not to say, oh, you're a bad person because you've done this before. Like I said, some of my people probably have done it. I've probably done it coming off of my streams. We got to be better. Because then I get in my stream the next show and I'm feeling validated. And all those people are feeling even more validated. And now we're all feeling validated together, and that's dangerous. Especially when we're validating emotions rather than facts of matter. And then when we do this again, we take that way of thinking and we go out into the real world, and that's what makes it dangerous. We are now, us validating each other is not only doing so while we sit in the safety behind our screens. It is coming out in real life. I need to bring up some images here. Give me 1 second. One second, almost there. Let's get out of here. All right, here we go. I am going to bring up one comment. And again, no names at all. This is a comment that was left. It was a video, on Instagram. And I'm not going to say that the video itself was inciting violence. It was definitely mob mentality. It was definitely pitchfork mentality. But I'm going to read this. Living proof right here. This individual says that they started a ruckus okay, this is pertaining to New York Comic Con, by the way. This individual was at New York. And they said that they started a ruckus on purpose at the Whatnot station. And security was all over me like effing white on rice trying to call cops. They took my pass on Friday. And I believe they say wouldn't give it back. And wouldn't give it back, or they wouldn't give me a refund. F Whatnot and NYCC. So, what is this saying? Thank you, P. Kill, for being here and listening. And that's what matters. You don't need to 100% agree with me, but being here and listening and share your thoughts. Share your thoughts with the chat and with me, because I'm here to learn from all of you guys. So, but what does this tell me? I'm going to tell you what it tells me. You guys can let me know what it tells you. Oh, man, hold on. Before I do that, I do agree with this, Holy Harlot. I agree with this, but I do believe that a lot of people that get blamed for doing this don't do that, though. And I could go to court. I'm not saying everyone, but there are a lot of people that get blamed for pumping and dumping based on the definition that you provided here that actually don't do that. Chris, thank you so much for the super chat. I want to add to the conversation, but I agree with what you're saying. I'm still here, just silently agreeing. Thank you, Chris, so much. And again, I'm not, look, it's not about agreeing. It's like what P. Keel said. I think P. Keel, I think you did say actively listening, right? not just listening, but actively listening. And that's huge. And P. Kill, thank you so much. So much. That's what's needed. I don't want you guys here just agreeing with me and nodding your heads. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Sure, no. But Chris, thank you. Thank you for what you are aligning and agreeing with me with. And I truly do appreciate that. And for the continued support, of course. Yeah, only hearing what we want to hear. Todd McFarland disagrees completely with something I said, but I'm not sure what. Yeah, Daniel, too binary in our thinking. Not everything is ones and zeros when it comes to public discourse. Absolutely 100%. Got to be careful of the yes people. Yeah, and look, we all could be guilty of that. So not to generalize and label yes people, we all can, just bob the head and be like without thinking about it. But we can't be like that, right? Dopamine is a hell of a drug. Absolutely. All right. Anyways, getting back to this. What does this tell me? This comment right here. It tells me that this individual was validated. Now, knowing who this individual follows on social media, I can make an educated, I will say assumption. I would like to say hypothesis, but I'll say assumption. I'll still say assumption. I would make an educated assumption that this individual has been bombarded with the anti-rhetoric for a very long time. He's been bombarded with anti-key collector, anti-influencer, anti-whatnot. So he goes to a Comic-Con where he sees a bunch of whatnot booths. And because he's already validated himself, and look, maybe he has a right to be angry. Again, I'm not saying he's not. But I do believe he's validated himself because he's hearing an echo chamber. And he feels like it's okay to now do what? Mob mentality, incite violence. This individual is no longer sitting behind a screen sharing little memes on Instagram with clown emojis. This individual is showing up in the flesh to a con, causing, as he said, quote, ruckus. Security took him and booted him out. Why? We live in a world right now. And look, I ain't going down gun control and all that political policy making BS. I'm not doing it. The bottom line, I'm an educator. I got 2 children in the public school system. My wife is an educator. Seems like every week there's a mass shooting in this country, and way too often it's at a school. There was just another mass shooting at a school this last week. People are shooting up grocery stores. People are shooting up people because they're black. People are shooting up people because they're Asian. People are shooting up people in a church because they're Christian. People are shooting up people in a mosque because they're Muslim. People are shooting people on the freeway because they have road rage. Are we not out of control as a people to where when we talk about comic books, people, comics, that we have to take images of real people and say that, oh, let's put a bullet in their head, or let's freaking beat them to a pulp because they overprice books or pump and dump books? So last Comic-Con, we had people rushing Peach Momoko's booth, yelling in her face, causing ruckus at the Whatnot station, and somebody putting their hands on somebody else because of a prejudice. And yeah, I'm going to say it's a prejudice because guess what? There's many people out there that are perpetuating the us versus them. It's the real collectors versus the influencers. It's the true collectors versus the whatnotters. Next time, it might not just be pushes and a fist. So I circle back. We might think that we're expressing an opinion. We might think that we're using freedom of speech to express the fact that we have valid frustration right now because the community and the comic book hobby that we love is being infiltrated by greed. Valid. Questionable business practices. Okay, valid. And we don't want it like this. Valid. But are we gonna react or perpetuate mob mentality to where our actions can possibly lead to more people being physically hurt with even more than hands next time? I mean, I'm seriously asking this question. I could sit here, I believe from the bottom of my heart, I 100% believe that the reason why Peach Momoko's table was bum rushed by paying visitors or paying attendance, I believe that why that individual with the exhibitor badge was pushed. I believe why this person caused a ruckus at the Whatnot station. I believe from the bottom of my heart that all of those things happened because of all of the pitchfork mentality that's going on social media. The anti this, the anti that rhetoric. I believe it. And like I said, some of it's valid. What went down at C2E2 was with Black. Again, I'm not even talking about certain people taking a bunch of books. The way Black Flag conducted business was 100% unethical. So I understand why maybe some collectors are going to cons now and they have a bad taste in their mouth. I support that. I do. But I don't support the way that we're reacting to it. I don't support the way that we're reacting to it. And that's just me. I believe it is counterproductive, and I've been saying that from day one. Remember, I'll say it again. Remember, as soon as we heard somebody cutting the line at C2E2, I came on my channel and I said, people, you're already pointing fingers. We don't know who was there or what happened. Stop. And I had a target on my back. And I said, let's have and through that whole time, I was like, let's have conversations. And I tried to have conversations with people that shut me down. I tried to have conversations with people. Nobody wanted to have a conversation. Seems that maybe some people that's changed, which is good. Maybe some people are willing to have conversations now. Maybe they didn't then, but they do now. And that's great. That's what I've been talking about this whole time. I called it then. I called it with the New York Comic-Con Peach stuff. I came on and I said, I feel your frustration, but wait until the facts come out. Nobody did that. And the irony is when the facts did come out, we realized that most of the ruckus was caused by people that weren't exhibitors. But again, this isn't us against them. It's not. I don't want to make it that. I can't sit here and tell myself that the way that we're going, the way that we're operating on social media isn't going to lead to more violence, especially at cons. You can't tell me it's not. That's what I believe in my heart. Travis Tubbs, take a few days off from social media now and then. It's refreshing. Absolutely. My favorite animal. I like all animals, to be quite honest. We're gonna bring something else up here, folks. I want to highlight the good stuff that's going on in this community and how we bring people together. Comics curing cancer. They raised $23,000. $23,000. They did it using social media in these platforms in a way that they should be used. There was YouTubers, there was retailers, there was whatnot sellers that came together for something that is very important to all of us. So many different sellers on whatnot, so many different YouTube, you could call them influencers, whatever you want to call them, that donated $23,000. But this rhetoric, this us against them rhetoric, if we allow that fire to continue to be fueled, something like this would have never happened. Would have never happened. You know who donated? Danielle, Nerdy Girl. She donated to this. Was Skep involved? I don't know. I forget all the names. DJ Links. A lot of people were involved in this. Legion of Comics. X11 says, proud to be a member of the Legion. We are Legion. That is the power and energy we need. Absolutely. If we continue with the divide and conquer, with the us against them, things like this cannot happen. They won't. Because this right here happened because of what you call influencers and whatnotters and real collectors and true collectors. That's how this was able to happen. Straight up. I say this all the time, Daniel. Focus on what we have in common because it outweighs where we differ. 100%. 100%. There is Wounded Warrior Project. Big shout out to Morpheus. Where does this happen? Whatnot. Whatnot. So, anti-whatnot. And look, I'm not saying don't hold whatnot accountable for being a solid platform that represents the comic book hobby and industry that we love and enjoy. Absolutely. But without whatnot, we want to be raising money for our veterans that get overlooked in this country, that get, sent out to dry and to wither away in this country. By the way, this is happening tomorrow and Sunday. So shameless plug there. But seriously, you got a lot of people involved. Who do you have involved? I'll tell you again. You have entities like Whatnot being involved. You have Whatnot sellers being involved. You have YouTubers being involved. Then you have community members that are quote unquote true collectors and real collectors involved. That's how we come together and do things in this community. That's what this community is about. This is what this community is about. You understand? Now, again, I'm not saying don't be frustrated. I'm not saying don't, Don't question what you think is wrong. But do it in a way that builds community instead of doing it in a way that tears it down. This is something else that I wanted to show you guys. Big shout out to Car Gems, who sells on Whatnot. Last night, Car Gems was hanging out with his son. I don't know how old his son is. Can't be older than 7 years old. Can't be older than 7 years old. His son came up with all of these art pieces and said, Dad, can I sell my art pieces? Can I sell my art? This is a piece of electro that he did. His son, no older than 7 years old. So freaking cute. And his dad said, you know what? Why not? He was like, how much do you want for him, son? He was like, $10. He's like, okay, $10. It was like 10 pieces, 10 different pieces. He had Spider-Man, Electro. It was awesome. It was amazing. This kid might grow up to be the next Todd McFarlane. Somebody bought it for $10 and Car Gems threw in some comic books. He said, thank you so much for supporting my son. I'm going to throw in, he had a near mint Transformers G.I. Joe #1 from the 80s, the Marvel one. That book isn't a dollar bin book, especially in high grade. That's what this community is about. So why don't we hear about this? You want to be anti-Whatnot? Why don't we talk about the good stuff that happens on Whatnot so then we can go support those sellers, and that'll automatically hold Whatnot accountable for who they have on their platform. Am I wrong? I mean, is that not how it works? Honest question. Austin, yep. What? That's what's up. The boogeyman. Absolutely. I mean, look at me, guys, and I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal. I use me as an example because I know what I do on Whatnot. I've lost so much money. I've lost so much money in Whatnot sales. Am I going to blame it on Nerdy Girl and big, like, you know what? Like, Nerdy Girl could sell Golden Age books at dollar bid start, so why can't I? And then I lose money. No. If I don't want to lose money, I better know what it's worth and start it for what I'm willing to get. And if it doesn't sell, it doesn't sell, and I don't lose money. I've lost a lot of money in my Whatnot because of a couple things. One, when I buy collections, I try not to lowball. I have always overpaid. I've always overpaid for my collections when I buy collections to support my business. Always. And after fees and everything on selling on Whatnot, it's, I've done shows where I've taken literal losses, where I lose money. I sit there and I stream for 2 hours. Actually, I take 2 weeks I press and clean a lot of my books. I bag and board my books. Most of my books, new bags and boards, right? I grade. I sit and take the time to grade all my books. And then I take the time to list them with a picture, grade, description, and Whatnot. And then I sit for 2 hours and stream. And then I have materials. I ship out Gemini mailers, whatever. And I spend hours shipping out all my packages. So I'll literally spend days of labor to lose money. And I spend money to do that. Now, I don't want to always do that because it is a business and I need to make money. But I do it because I care about my reputation. But I sell on Whatnot. Does that make me a Whatnotter? Does that make me bad? No. So what does it tell you? What does it tell you? This has always existed. It's not about Whatnot or eBay or an LCS or an IG live stream. It's about the human being. So we got to pull away from the buzzwords, pull away from the rhetoric, and start looking at these individual isolated incidents and start having conversations if we want a resolve. And I'm gonna move on to this. And this is like, I don't know if I want to call this my closing argument, but this is very important. This is very important. Now, I'm not going to sit here and generalize and think that everyone that does something is this. I can't say, oh, if you do this, then you're that, because that's what they are doing. Like, that's what I'm discussing right now. I'm talking about the people that say, you do this, so you're a whatnotter. You do that, so you're a flipper. You do this, so you're an influencer. And then you're bad. You're evil. You're the evil monster that's ruining comic books. So I can bully you. I can incite violence against you, etc., etc. So I'm going to try not to do that here and not become that in which I hate and reverse this. But because of everything that I see, it's very hard for me to believe that a lot of these people actually want a resolution. It's hard for me to believe that a lot of these people want to solve problems. Now, why do I say that? Well, because one, their actions speak on it, right? We got to hold people accountable by their actions. So when I try to reach out to people and they don't want to have conversations, or people don't listen and they go back and they repeat and keep doing the same thing, and maybe even get worse and worse, it tells me something. And again, I don't know what's going on in their head. Maybe they still feel validated and justified in their heart. I don't know. Maybe it's just a disconnect. But I'll tell you what, they're not solving anything. It's not going to solve anything, regardless of their intent. We see that. But I do believe that there are a large handful of people. I can't sit here and tell you everyone. I can't sit here and name drop because I don't know people's intent. I don't. I know some people's intent because they told me, like Jeremy at Geeks and Gamers. Regardless of what you believe, if you watch him and you believe what he does, that's fine. But I had him tell me to my face. Tell me to my face. It was on YouTube. I just tried to go to the link the other day. I should have screenshotted it, and I think it was pulled. It was a couple years back now. He told me to my face that the reason why he does what he does with all of his sensationalized political videos, everything is sensationalized political talk. It's not about gaming or pop culture at all anymore. He told me straight to my face, I do it to get clicks and views. To my face. But then he apologized to me because he felt like, maybe he could change that. But then after we had our conversation privately, he went and dove right into it even more, even harder. He went and that's what I call selling your soul. And I'll say that without hesitation. But see, he told me. Not a lot of people will tell you why they do what they do. Or maybe they will, but maybe you don't know if they're being honest. I don't know. But even still, I do believe that a lot of people out there that are picking up the pitchforks and that are saying, I talked about this last week. Somebody brought up a comment saying, people that are mad at flippers are flippers that are trying to flip, but that just don't have the success of the big flippers. Again, I can't generalize, but you can't tell me that there's not some truth to that. I could think if I took note and wrote everyone's name down that I heard that has a YouTube or that has a Instagram profile that either mocks the Whatnot Wednesday crew or whatnot, or these big YouTubers like Jem and Tom, or they mock Key Collector. Did I say Whatnot? They they use the buzzwords influencer, flipper. I can write down everyone that I know off the top of my head. I could pull up my phone and search YouTube and search Instagram right now. And I guarantee you, 99 of the people that I write down sell comics. I could guarantee you that 99% of the people that I write down, that I would write down, sell comics. I could guarantee you that a large amount of those people tried selling on Whatnot and they don't sell on Whatnot anymore. Probably because maybe they realized that they, thought they were going to just jump into Whatnot and be Nerdy Girl. And they lost money and now they're mad. Again, I'm not pointing fingers or saying everyone, but I'm saying this from the truth of what I've seen. You can go do the research too. It's there. It's absolutely there. So when you bring these facts to the table, it makes you question, why is it always people that sell comics that flip comic? Because I know, again, a large amount of them that do this not only sell comics, but you will see them on Instagram showing, remember when this book was hot? Remember when the Loki show? I've seen the same people that are now, telling, Key Collector, Clown App, and all this stuff, and anti Whatnot, death to Whatnot. I saw them posting their 10 copies of this book. And again, I'm not saying that they don't have the right to, but I have to ask the question: why is it the people that are so vocal that want to use their anger by using buzzwords, by generalizing and being prejudicial with their generalizations, hiding behind these buzzwords? Why do the majority of them sell comic books? Absolutely, Jesse. The majority, I think the majority absolutely of people that are successful are hard workers, and it doesn't happen overnight. There are a lot of jealous sellers out there. Am I the only one here that hates selling comics, but only because it's a pain in the ass? Well, Pete, no, Pekeel, you're right. I mean, I dove into it and I'm like, man, sometimes I'm like, screw this, but I keep doing it. I want to say this too. I know, and look, again, I'm not saying this to like hate these people. I just, maybe it's because I just don't understand it, right? I am, even to this day, like, I own a lot of comic books. I've always been a collector of runs, a collector of characters, a collector of nostalgia. That's why I collect mostly, copper and older. I like to collect my favorite characters. I like to collect covers. I'm an artist. I love cover art. I've always collected and spent my money on comic books for a multitude of those reasons. I also have always cared about the future value of comics. I've always seen them as, this is cool because they're a collectible, and I can hopefully have something for my family to pass down. I think it's cool because of the nostalgia and because of value that could be there. And over the years, as the market has boomed upward, and whether it because of just inflation alone and because of just the demand, right? I'll tell you, it sucks. Like, whether it's key books, whether it's run fillers. I remember when I could get mid-grade Amazing Spider-Man Silver Age books. Not the early, but maybe like from the 40s up to the 80s or 90s, as long as they weren't big keys. I remember you could get a good mid-grade for $15, 10 to $15. Now, you'd be lucky if you could find one for $40, $50 in a nice mid-grade. And that's just a standard run filler. I'm not talking about ASM 50 or any of those key books in that range. So when I look at that, because I'm sitting here trying to complete my Amazing Spider-Man run. Yeah, we'll see, right? I could look at it and be salty, and I could be like, you know what? Goddamn, that sucks. Now I'm on a budget. I can't afford to buy these books. So am I going to sit here and blame flippers or YouTubers? Like, what does that do? First off, I never heard. When have you heard a YouTuber, especially a big YouTuber like, them? I don't need to say their names. When have I heard YouTubers talking about run fillers? But I guess sometimes the argument is, oh, well, I'm trying to complete my West Coast Avengers run because I'm a true collector. I don't collect because of the value. And I'm an Avengers fan, and I like to collect the runs. This was a $2 book all day, and when it was hot, it was a $40 book. It's back down to being like a $10 book. It was a $40 book. So so now YouTubers are talking about it because obviously these characters showed up in the MCU. Who do you blame, the chicken or the egg? Is it the YouTubers hyping it up, or is it people seeing it in the TV show and buying it and hyping it up, and then the YouTubers talk about it? Whatever. Am I going to sit here and be mad? Oh, YouTubers and influencers are ruining the hobby because now I can't buy this book because it's out of my budget. All I want to do is read the book or finish my run. That sounds like entitlement to me. So I'm just adding this in there because this is another mob mentality that I continue to hear. It's either people that sell themselves or people that are mad because now they can't afford to own every single book that they feel that they're entitled to own. How is any of that right? It sucks. It sure does suck. I wish I would have bought Miles Morales' first appearance when I could get it for $100, but I didn't. Am I going to blame YouTubers for talking about it in an Into the Spider-Verse movie for making it a $2,800 book and a 9.8 at this point? No, that's life. I'm not entitled to it. Am I wrong? I want to hear your thoughts. Like, I mean, seriously, we could be mad about it, but are we entitled to these books? Yeah, wouldn't it be nice if we could support our sellers more, as long as they're honest and respectful sellers, right? No matter if they're an LCS or they sell on eBay or they sell on whatnot. This isn't just comics. Absolutely. Been in the antiques and collectibles business, and the competitive nature of buying and selling can bring out the worst in a person. It can also bring out the best. And I hear you, Jesse. Absolutely. Comic fan, let the market decide is what I say. Well, what does that mean? The market. The market or the buyers. So look, we make purchasing decisions no matter what we buy because we're influenced. We buy Kellogg's cereal because we either see their commercials or we see their branding, and we buy Ford or Chevy because we buy the comic books that we want, maybe because we hear a certain YouTuber talking about it, or maybe because we see a TV show. The market is us in how we spend our money. So I don't, how are we not letting the market decide right now? We are. The market is deciding. That's us. What do we want to pay for a book? Are we going to pay it or not? Okay, let's do it or we don't do it. That decides the market. And it doesn't matter if we made our decision because of a YouTuber or a TV show or an article or just because we like the character. Doesn't matter. Maz. Do you think they influence the market that much? Okay, look, here's what I think. I believe wholeheartedly that people that are in a position of power, a position to influence, which we all are at times in our life, we have to do so with responsibility, 100%. When I'm up here in front of the screen, everything I do and everything I say, I have to be extremely conscious of the perception, no matter my intent. And that means I have a whole crap load of responsibility. Okay. But at the end of the day, do you know who influences the market? The buyers in the decisions that they make. They seek out people on YouTube. That's why they exist. That's why so-and-so has 50,000 subscribers. That's why so-and-so other here has 150,000 subscribers. That's why I have over 12,000 subscribers. They want something, and we just happen to say, okay, we'll give you what you want. You may not like how some people do it. I may not like how some people do it. You may not like how I do it. Fact of the matter, they want it. Key Collector wouldn't exist if collectors didn't want it. Go Collect Cover Price. LCSs wouldn't exist if we didn't want it. Buyers would find ways to be influenced. Buyers would find ways where their purchasing decisions are influenced one way or the other. We didn't need YouTube and influencers on social media in the 90s, but guess what happened? The same mentality. Speculators wanted to speculate and they went crazy. That's a cultural thing, not a comic book thing. It's the same reason why when we see a celebrity, we idolize them. Oh, I saw Keanu Reeves in person. Oh, we have this like this God complex of how we view people. We are also reactionary and emotional consumers. And again, that's everywhere. Look at shoes. Nike, Air Jordan releases the new limited edition Jordan shoe, the Retro 11 or whatever. And people are literally lining up, sleeping in tents the night before. And when the doors open, they're trampling over each other and people die. I mean, literally. Black Friday. Now Black Friday starts on Thursday, on Thanksgiving. How disgusting is that? So instead of taking your time sitting around the table enjoying family, you're like, oh, 5 o'clock, the stores are open, got to bounce to dinner. Peace, guys. Yeah, I'm thankful. Got to go get $50 off of this TV. Got to go get $5 off of that speaker. It's so worth it. Get out of the way. It's mine. You're gonna blame somebody on YouTube saying this comic's hot this week because it sold this many issues. This comic's hot this week because it made a top 10 list. on cover price. It broke a record sale. It speaks the market demand, the FOMO is more influenced by simply our addictive nature to spend, gimme, me. And it plays out on the opposite end. And that was what I was just talking about. Those who don't have the means will find any way to complain about why it's wrong. I didn't get that book because of them, because I only want to collect it. I only want to read it. Is that not FOMO still? Is that not a form of missing out? You missed out and now you're mad about it. And so you take your anger and your frustration and you turn a buzzword into this prejudicial generalization saying flippers are ruining comics, speculators are ruining comics. I just wanted it to read and now I can't have it. Look, guys, look. When you go to a used car lot, what are you going to get? A hype man. When you go to a carnival and you got all the, what do you get? Hype man. Are we not, again, it's like, why, how do you, what's the question again? I'm okay with it if it's a hype man. No, it's a hype man. Why do you have to fall victim to the hype man? I'm not saying hype men are right. I think hype men are, so I mean, again, hype man is a generalization. It is. I'm hyped right now. I'm hyped. I'm hyped when I do my shows because I'm hyped. Here I am doing a sale. When I do my whatnot shows, I'm hyped. All right, guys. Yes. Who wants this Maximum Carnage? I'm hyped when somebody buys it. I thank them and I'm like, yes, it's going to a new home. I'm hyped. So already that's a generalization. So what do you mean by hype man? Is it somebody that says, okay, guys, don't let this go for 20. This is selling for 3 times out all day. Bid it up. Is that your definition of a hype man? Now that's slimy. And I agree. But when I see that, I laugh at it. I'm like, you think you're going to sell a comic to me doing that? Peace. I'm never going to be in your stream again. The market dictates what it dictates because we as the buyers perpetuate. Personally, I like when the books get hot because it brings more collectors into the hobby and we all benefit from more people enjoying comics. You would think, right, comic collector geek? But I don't think some people think that way. I think some people truly believe that they aren't benefiting because they don't care about the community of it necessarily. Maybe, could be, right? Maybe they just care about what they own or their own little circle. I don't know, but I do agree with you. Daniel says, I want to know the books you need. I'll find them and then them to your cost. Are you talking to me, Daniel? I don't know. I'm behind on comments. So are you talking in general? Man, yeah, Lego community is all supported. My son used to be huge on Legos. Kind of fell out of it now that he's 15. Yeah, Dank Castle buying in lots to save money. Comic knew what was going on. With great influence comes great responsibility. That's true. And like I said before, that even goes for anybody that has an IG account. If you got 100 followers on IG, you can influence people, and there's a responsibility that comes with that. Absolutely. I hear you, comic fan. Maybe people that are upset about the prices should find a different hobby. Sorry to say that, but someone had to. I hear you, and I don't think you're trying to be rude. I mean, it's just a fact of the matter. Like, this is it. It's how it is. Or, just understand the state of the hobby and read digital or buy trade paperbacks. Because we're not entitled to anything. This first world problems, people. Ooh, it's a tie game. Game 1 of the World Series. Or at least it was. Yeah, Dan. I like to do the color fitting. I have tons of hats with random teams just to match, but I don't think I'd ever wear an Astros hat. I love Dusty Baker, man. I love him. Like, I really wish he'd win a World Series, but I just wish it was with a different team, man. Thank you, Dank Castle, for being here. A lot of people just want to show off how cheap they got a book, and when they can get it for cheap, is all of a sudden Flipper's fault. And when they can get it for cheap. Kamanu, I'm not sure I'm understanding what you're saying there. I apologize if that went over my head. I mean, look, what Chris says here, look, man, it's a business, guys. I mean, like, women, and look, it. I don't want any women being objectified, but women have been used to sell things for thousands of years, people. You put a pretty girl in front of a camera to sell comic books, that's just business. And if you're paying more from somebody just because she's a pretty woman than you would from some random dude, that's on you. That's on you. Okay? I just saw the last part of Chris's comment. Sure, man. Any way to get women into this hobby, as long as they're not being objectified against their will, right? You guys are just really lots of comments here, man, and I appreciate it. Lyric is in the building. Buyers get mad when you're trying to sell at fair market value, especially on a slab. Yeah, I'll cut you a deal, but not have price per. Yeah, and that's the thing that never gets talked about too. What about all the lowballing buyers that are entitled to deals? So I just go back to this, folks. It all comes down to being a decent human being. It does. Look, I'm gonna have some final thoughts right here, guys. It's been a long stream. To be quite honest, my son is sick right now. He took a COVID test while I was out here. I don't know if it came back positive, and I'm fighting. I'm kind of concerned about myself. So I've been going at it for 2 hours. I need to wrap up here, and fingers crossed that I'm not, but look, final thoughts, guys. We covered a lot of stuff today. We covered a lot of stuff. And I know that there's a lot of specific incidents that I would have loved to come on here and take screenshots of stuff and just, because I feel because I want to hold people accountable, right? But if these people that are doing what I talked about, that are creating images of other individuals in this community that showcase harm or violence to these individuals, if they're making statements that they want to perpetuate violence against individuals, they're making memes and taking screenshots themselves and calling people clowns and all that. If I went and took screenshots of what they're doing and came here and said, shame on them, this is wrong, how dare we, let's hold them accountable. Now, I still believe that my intentions would be just. I still believe that I would be 100% correct in my actions. But I understand how it could be perceived as the same thing as what they're doing. And so, to their perception of it, what would make me any better? So, I had to approach this from a very sensitive stance today. Right? I didn't put anybody on blast. I honestly reached out to different people that I feel like are kind of lost in that way of thinking and that mentality, and said, my door's open. Let's have a conversation. What are you angry about? Why are you so angry? Do you think that this is okay? I don't think that this is going to lead to anything good. It's not going to lead to problem solving. It's not going to lead to solutions. It's going to lead to more violence. I hate to say it, but I do believe that. I do. And I don't want that, man. This is comic books. This is comics. So I encourage everyone, whether you're just hanging out here tonight, whether you have a YouTube channel or you're on IG, you're just a part of this community, do your best to stay away from the buzzwords. Okay? Do your best to always listen before you speak. Empathy and compassion in listening. If somebody is frustrated, listen to them. And if they have a hard time listening to you, you gotta do your best to still show them empathy. If they shut the door on you, maybe it's not personal and it's what they're going through. And if you react in a way that is like, well, screw you, and you take it personal, that's not going to solve anything, because then everyone's going to continue to have their walls up and their defenses up, right? That's not going to solve anything. We need to step away from the us versus them. The only thing ruining this hobby right now is how divided we are. Yes, we have issues. Yes, there's always going to be greed. There's always going to be slimy people. There's always going to be incidents, and we can be upset at things. We can have opinions and be all these things. We are only going to push this forward united. The us against mentality and the pitchfork and mob mentality needs to go. It's going to lead to things that nobody really wants. And lastly, once again, there could be legal ramifications. But that's just a side note. We got to be good to each other, people. We got to give people the benefit of the doubt. We got to express ourselves in a way where we don't feel censored, but we still have a productive conversation. Keep your door open, as mine is. Anybody wants to reach out to me about anything I talked about tonight, my door is open. You can hit me up on Instagram. You can email me at captainjournocomics@gmail.com. and let's talk about it. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you believe. You could have disagreed with every single thing I said tonight. But if you want to have a conversation, I'm always going to be here. There are people that have shut the door on me multiple times, and I will always open that door back for them when they're ready. Daniel, thank you so much for the super chat. Ruining this country, not just comics. Yeah, man. And it's not just this country. You know, it's all over, but this country is really bad too. Yeah, so polarized, man. We can't do this. I mean, like, look, I'm going to bring this up briefly, folks. Kanye West. I know you're like, oh. There's an argument on both sides of the Kanye West matter. There are valid points on both sides. And what I see happening on both sides is horrible. It's horrible. You know, I don't agree with everything he says. I think he does try to make some valid points. I think he's definitely, I'm not going to call him crazy. I think he's stressed out. I think he's very, very emotional, and he's been through a lot. But you have two sensationalizing extremes on each side of him that are playing tug of war with him. And we the people are falling into it. And we're divided, and we are divided, and it's sad. We need to find middle ground, people. And that's what we need to do in this comic book community as well. We need to do it in all walks of life. Focus on that in which we have in common next to the things that where we differ. We have more in common than where we differ. We are all human beings. We're not flippers. We're not true collectors. We're not whatnotters. We're human beings. Nobody deserves to not have the benefit of the doubt. And nobody deserves to be shut off and attacked and bullied and violence perpetuated against them without having the opportunity to have a conversation and build bridges, period. Period. Thank you, X11. I'll leave on this note. And it's not just politics, it's comic books too. Absolutely. So, folks, with that being said, thank you guys so much for being here tonight. I do hope that this discussion can continue in a productive manner. I hope maybe next time we could talk about this and I can have some guests on. And it doesn't have to be necessarily YouTubers or big YouTubers, but I would like to have a roundtable discussion. I appreciated talking with you guys in the chat today. I would like to have some guests on next time, and I would like to keep this conversation going for the benefit of all of us in this hobby, because it's needed. Because I don't want to see it go down the road that I feel like it's going at all. So with that being said, guys, thank you for being here. Have a good night. Be well, be safe, be kind to each other. Have a safe Halloween. If you got kids, let them have fun, but be careful. No drink or driving. Drive safe. Get a freaking Uber. If you're in the Sac area, hit me up. For real. Until next time, guys. Peace.